Hello team, my name is Mahesh. In this video, we are totally focusing on the GitHub Actions itself. In the GitHub Actions, we are covering a lot of topics related to the GitHub Actions. In this particular session itself, we gonna cover uh, what is GitHub Actions in the most basic thing. After that, we can look what is the workflows and how we can create a custom workflows in the GitHub itself. What is a GitHub action files that we how we can create a custom action files, how we can set up an event, how we can set up custom jobs on it, or how we can create a particularly create a workflow and the how we can create set up a custom CI/CD flow of that particular workflow itself. We look what is a events in the workflow itself. We look what is the proper syntax, how the YAML syntaxing work in the GitHub Actions itself that we look in this video. What is the uh, runners that are used in the GitHub itself? What are how we can configure our custom runners that will focus in this particularly video itself. So what are and the disadvantages and the advantages of the GitHub Actions over the Jenkins and all those other CI/CD platforms that are available in the market, and how GitHub Actions are performing uh, how GitHub Actions work in the GitHub itself. That we totally look on this video itself. So before we moving forward, we are using this particularly application, which is a sample Python application that we are using to set up our custom workflows in the GitHub Action itself. So before that, we'll know what is a GitHub action, what is a GitHub Actions in the first priority. So GitHub Actions is another CI/CD platform that are platform oriented and the only work for the GitHub in the GitHub environment itself. If we have a mostly changing requirements in our organization, such as our app is moving to AWS code commit, or on the Azure DevOps, or something on the GitLab or somewhere others, custom private version control system. So on that case, the GitHub Actions will not work there. So GitHub Actions is a platform oriented. So that is a one disadvantages of the GitHub Actions. So GitHub Actions is totally run on the GitHub workflows. In the workflows, it is mostly work with the YAML files, such as the all the stages and all the configuration files that we needed, or that developer try to automate the workflow of the, like the building the application, the building deployment, testing the application, the ship to the release and ship to the production. So all those workflows are automated by the this YAML file. As we in the Jenkins itself, we can call it as a Jenkins. In the Jenkins itself, we call them as a Jenkins files. But in the GitHub Actions itself, we call them as a workflows. So in the specific workflows, we can set the required how the workflow will go. Will All the things are configured in this particularly YAML file. So the GitHub Actions is totally we don't need to provide any existing servers, or we don't need to provision any pre-configured resources, or we don't need to provide any pre allocated resources to the GitHub Actions itself. GitHub Actions itself, there are two types of a GitHub Actions itself. One is a self-hosted and another is a GitHub hosted. On the GitHub hosted, the GitHub will manage the operating system. It will provide the particular environment that we need to run our application, run code. Run the application, build the application, test, release, and deploy. So all those things are automatically done. Automatically, dependencies and all those plugins are automatically installed as per the requirement by the GitHub hosted services itself. We call them as a GitHub hosted runners. Let me clarify. In the GitHub hosted runners, GitHub will automatically manage the required plugins, the dependencies, and all those things that are need by our application that are already automatically get configured. that we don't need to do anything. It will automatically provision a resource, and it will run the actions based on our pipeline is created on the GitHub hosted runners. So that is GitHub hosted runners, and another one is the self-hosted runners that we need to provision a resource such as the server on premises or the cloud premises. So those things are need to done in the um, GitHub self-hosted runners. So if you don't satisfy with the GitHub hosted runners, so you can set up a custom particularly hosted runners itself. So self-hosted runners as we call them. So in this particular session itself, we are using this Flask application, which will take a name and the email, and it will basically greet to that name and email that we have provided. So this is basically greeting and work. It will work on the port 5000 itself. So yeah. So we using this application itself. In the before you moving forward, how will you know how you can create a GitHub action files, and how it will work, and how it will be how we can create a custom workflow pipeline. So as similar to GitHub, as similar to Jenkins, we are create in the Jenkins we are creating a Jenkins file. In the GitHub itself, we need to create one folder on the root directory of the repository itself. So this it is called as a GitHub slash workflows. Inside the workflows, we can configure multiple pipelines, such as in the if you look in the Argo CD project. Let me show it to you. Argo CD project GitHub. In that Argo CD project, they have configured multiple workflows that are needed to automate the workflow basically. Let me show it to you first. In the CI build, they building the application in the code QL.yml. They are checking the code and check out the code and all those things. In the image, basically they are mentioned over here, the building the images and all those things, Docker images or as per the required. The initial release, basically they are releasing a uh, particular code. The PR title check, they are checking the title and all those things in the things itself. Um, and many more update SNYK. They are just looking for the existing vulnerabilities that are present in that particular code, or it might there are some security vulnerabilities that are present in the application itself. So those things are checked by the as for this particularly workflow file. Inside that workflow file, as I have created one workflow file over here. As you look over here, it is not quite complicated though. So if you have, let me give a brief detail about this pipeline itself. So first, we are providing the name of the build itself. If you know if you know basic YAML file, how the YAML indentation and all those things for work, so it will be very easy for you to create such kind of a workflow file in the GitHub Actions itself. So you can take help from the GitHub official documentation that are created. GitHub Actions. In the GitHub Actions, there is a quick start, and in this quick start, it is all they have already created a document to how we can create and how we can use the GitHub Actions itself, such as in the deployment and test, we are deploying building and testing the Python application itself. Inside that Python application, look, the particularly, they have provided the entire YAML template. In that YAML template, we can do just we can implement our things, and just we can use the same template itself. We can upgrade the same template and we can use. So those things that we have done over here. If you look in the job sections, such as we have configured the pipelines in the Jenkins itself. On the job itself, we have provided the build. It will run on it will run on the Ubuntu latest image. Inside that Ubuntu latest image, it is a latest image. It is a latest image that are taken by the GitHub runner itself. GitHub runner self-hosted GitHub runner hosted runner itself. it will automatically take the get it will automatically take the it will automatically take the Ubuntu machine for the run itself. We are required. It will run the particularly application and test the required workflow on the 3.9 and 3.8 and 3.9 application. 3.9 version of the Python. Sorry about that. In the step section, we have multiple steps, such as we inside the step in the inside, just like a Jenkins itself, Jenkins pipeline itself. We have multiple stages in our particularly Jenkins pipeline itself. In that stages, we are checking out the code, we are setting up the Python environment, we can we can do the different kind of analysis, we building the application, we testing the application, such like that. We have over here we are checking out the code, we are setting the particular Python application. We are providing the version that are provided here to set up the particular Python. We are installing the dependencies and all those things one by one. We have provided the bash commands over here to particularly install the PyTest for the Python application testing environment, or we are installing the requirements that are provided in the requirement.txt. So we have done we have providing some Python we are providing some bash commands to run the particular application, to do the testing on the application and all those things. If you are able to see, there are some places I have mentioned uses in the actions and the GitHub checkout. What is it? What is this exactly? Let me clarify about this first. So in that particularly actions files, if you're able to see over here in the build, and we have selected the Python application for the build and all those things that we need to do. In that build section, we uses Python setup version 5. It is basically plugin that are automatically configured and installed by the Git hosted runners at Git default hosted runners. So it will it will it requires plugins to set up a particular environment, but it will automatically do by itself it only. So we just need to where this checkout came from. Over here in the actions itself, they have a lot of they have a big marketplace for the particularly do some kind of actions that are need to that are predefined, such as we need to set up a Python environment, we need to check out the code. So they have created such big marketplace. In the inside that marketplace, we can do all the things. We can pull required dependencies and we can check out the code with the existing plugins itself that are provided in the marketplace. So we have just copy and paste from the official documentation, and just we are using that. So if you have a Java based application such as Java and the Map, so what you can do, just you can use as a set you can use this particularly plugin, that action slash setup Java at the rate version 4. You can use that plugin on your particularly users section, and you can do the required things in this particularly workflow file itself. In the if you're able to see with Python version, we are providing the particular Python version that are configured by this particular repo. So let me explain the basic thing about it. When this if you have a confusion when this pipeline will run, how we can run the pipeline, because in the Jenkins itself, I am comparing basically with the Jenkins. We have a you have a button for the start build and the stop build button. So where this where how we can invoke the particular how we can invoke this file to run do some kind of actions on the run particularly workflow. Basically there are one terminology called events, that are with that events with the particular events we can run the particular uh, action file itself. So let me show it to you. In the run section, we have provided the bash commands itself that are directly run on the particular GitHub hosted runners that are provided by the Ubuntu. So inside, if you don't know how what are the what are the what are the uh, what are the operating systems and the hosted we can say hosted runners that are provided by the GitHub. There is one amazing uh, amazing there is one documentation available over here that are which are the things that are which are the operating systems, such as I'm using the Ubuntu latest, right? So which are the operating system or Docker containers that are present in the GitHub Actions itself, and how we can use that, how you can particularly use them. So let me just check how we can get that document. Understanding the workflows, automating pushing the package. Okay, just give me a second. Let me show it to you. Pushing, not the pushing. Put paste, customize essential features, not the essential expression examples, workflows, both the workflows. Now I'll show it to you. What are the basically this GitHub Action will support macOS, Ubuntu machines, and the Windows machine, Windows hosted environments also. So if you are working on different platforms itself, different operating system, different in the different kernel or different kind of we can say programming language itself. So particularly for that programming language, you can use that particularly operating system. So it runs on, we have configured on a runs on. So it is a clear definition. In the GitHub Actions, developer have ability to automate their workflows across the issues. You can set up an event to pull request, push request, or if you are solving any problems for like if you're doing if you are solving any problem throughout the push request itself, so you can do the automatically workflows, such as the comments are mentioned properly, the headlines are mentioned properly, how the issues, what are the exactly issues it is resolving. So all those things are we can configure on the actions file itself. So plus the native CI/CD functionality is there. There, you know, so yeah, so those are the things that we know. So what is the events? Events is the triggers that kick off a workflow file, and they can configure and look more triggers as qualifies as needed by the developer. They also set a specific coding branches within the repository and the GitHub. So you don't need, okay. So how it will run basically in my case on some on whenever there is a push on the particular repository itself, anywhere in the repository itself, when the push event is happening on the repository itself, this file will get invoked automatically. Let's check how it will work. So I have app.py file. So let me edit this, and I can just add a space over here and just commit this change. When I do commit, it will automatically start. Okay, sorry. It will start the run. You can see a yellow dot over here. It is showing as a pending. So it will running the particular stages. Look, it is installing the dependencies. It is running on the port. It is running on two different environment itself, two different Python environment itself. So 3.8 and 3.9. It is currently failed by some reason, but we'll check. So it has installed the dependencies. It has set up the particular Python version that we need. It has do some setup activities, like pull the particular look at it, has check out the file, and it will set up, it has set up the all those things. So I haven't provided any test documentation or test scripts to test this particularly app.py functionality, because of which it is get fit. So it is anyway it has done the all those things, such as it has done the post things, such as it has doing some cleanup, it has check out some code and all those things. It has completed the job and clean up the rest of the things. So it has done the same with the 3.9 version also. And yeah, that's how the you can configure a particular you can how that's how you can configure um, that's how you can configure basically multiple multiple workflow files in the GitHub Action workflow GitHub / workflows folder inside the workflows folder. Um, if you have any question in your mind, key that we can set up there if there are limitations in the what we can say to store those workflow files. There are no such limitations to store workflows file. We can store multiple workflow files, such as it in the Argo CD. We can say in the push, if you have those kind of a tags in our repository, in our commit itself, or in our uh, we can say particularly on a branches itself. If that happening on the particular this branches itself, I don't know exactly what is it is branch or something, then it will then it will run this particularly file itself. So every file has own its event that will run. So on push, this branches will ignore. We can it has set up some kind of a conditions over here to if those branches are committed, or if those branches are push some updates. So it will get ignored, and this script will not run. So it has we can set up a schedule. If you don't need to uh, set up a particular environment, if you don't need to set up a particular event itself, we can schedule a particular activity with the cron job itself, and it will run by itself on that particular schedule itself. And that particular schedule, it will run the particular file automatically by the GitHub Actions itself. So this is all about the GitHub Actions that we look today. On the next part itself, it is divided on the two part. This video will be divided on the two parts, and in the second part, we look how we can set up a custom hosted runners. If some companies need a custom hosted runners, or then they don't like they don't know exactly where this our application code is running on all those things. For the public repository, the GitHub Actions is totally free. But the private repositories that we need to work with, there are some limitations with the GitHub Actions itself. You need to buy some plan and all those things. Inside Actions, you have a two kind of a you if in the runners itself, you can set up your uh, custom hosted runners that are Linux instance or that are cloud based and all those things. We can look in the later part of this video. So this is the overall things about the GitHub Actions, and that's it.